Good morning, teacher. We are going to present the product that in this case we're going to import is going to be a dog collar with GPS that is going to be imported from China. The members of this group are Sofía Roncal, Ángela León, Diego Safadi, Brian Marietta, and myself. So first we're going to describe the product. As I said, it's going to be a dog collar with GPS. It has a real-time tracking that can update the position every 10 seconds with continuous tracking, so you can see it through your phone. It also has fast positioning, a voice control recording, a trace playback, a millet report, an SOS alarm, a remote voice monitoring, a platform checking, and it also is waterproof. So if we can see here the product that is going to be imported. It has a cable USB to charge the product. It has the color, the GPS. So why did we choose that product? We are owners of pets, as the 49% of the Peruvians that has pet in their homes. So statistically, Latin Americans are increasingly concerned about the care of their pets. So it is an insignificant increment for the articles for animals that had increased an 175% in the past year. So it is important because 1 of 3 pets get lost at some point in their lives, and less than 2% of the lost cats can return to their families. So approx for 420,000 pets and cats are lost annually. So that's going to be our demand for this product. So here we can see that in one study from INAE and in 2018, and that this is the demand for the GPS dog collars.
Good morning. Now I'm going to talk about the brief profitability analysis of our product. And to know the profitability of the product, we consider the cost and other expenses that will incur to sell the product in the current market. First of all, we have some product details that is going to be important to have the total import cost that I'm going to talk about in the next slide. But first, talking about the local expenses, we have the website, we have marketing costs, and basic expenses like water, and the most important, internet, because we are going to be an online shop, and then the profit margin. Looking at the profit margin, we have a total logistic cost apart from the unit cost of the then we have the local expenses and the total that give us a unit cost of 79.3 soles, and we are going to have a margin of 65% to sell the product in 130 soles. It is really price competitive because talking about their characteristics and comparing with other price competitors. Next, please. Okay, in the case of logistic process, we have a detailed analysis of all incurred logistics costs. First of all, we have the local transport and the local cost in China. Then we had a FOB and international transport and handling that our source was Peak Logistics Services. It's an enterprise that give us a $480 for our characteristics of our merchandise. And then we have the insurance that is 1.75% of the CFR. Then we have a deceive and some a percentage like ad valorem. We are not incurring ad valorem, and also the impuestos del consumo we are not incurred in it. Then we have the IVA and the municipal tax. We have the perception because it's gonna be our first import of and it is of a 10%. And then we have the costs in origin, like this consolidation, the warehousing, the revision, the emission of the bill of lading, the local transport, and we have a GDP of $39,875. Next, please. Okay, talking about the import logistic process, the port of origin of the product will be Shenzhen. The port of destination will be Callao. The time of transit will be 38 days from the departure date or stipulated or according to the team will be the 7th of this month. Then the type of load, that will be a less container load because it will be a little amount and volume, and the transshipment will be direct, and the cargo details, the total merchandise is have a weight of 100 kilograms and 0.07 cubics in volume, in case of volume. Next, please.
Okay, so now we are going to compare the mean of payments in this process. First, we have the open account, that it is not recommendable for this transaction because it has low security of payment for the exporter. It also it has an export credit insurance that will be in case the importer doesn't pay. So it's not recommendable for us because we're going to pay an insurance. Also, an advance payment, it will be a cash in advance, that it's most secure for exporters, but not for us. Then the dogs collection, that we will have to present a bill of exchange. Also, the importer received the dog for ownership once paid. It has a low security for exporter, and improve the credit score. And also the one that we had chosen will be the letter of credit, that is more secure in the payment for the exporter and the importer. So because of that, we're going to use this one. And here we are going to explain the applicable rules, and that is going to be for the letter of credit, that is going to be the UCP 600 rules. That these rules are uniform customs and practices that were originated by the ICC, International Chamber of Commerce, and are prepared by experts from the private sector. These principles are going to be the principle of independence from contracts, the strict compliance, and the principle of irrevocability, that are going to apply for this letter of credit that we are going to apply in this import.
Okay, talking about the application for the mean of payment, as Lizette mentioned, we decided to open an LC, and then we start to compare the commissions and percentage of 3 different banks to choose the cheapest one according with the commissions. And we have a comparable table made in Excel here. We choose Scotiabank, that give us a total fees of $625, and we proceed to do the application form of that bank. Next, please. here is the application form that is going to talk about my friend, Sophia.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the application of the form. As we say, we choose the bank, Scotiabank, because prices were cheaper than on the other banks. So in that way, we fill the form and we have to be very specific because the bank will demand from the exporter everything that we put exactly in the letter of credit at the time of making the payment. In that sense, we put the name of the company, that is Specialty Stores, as well as the exact address of the company, a description of the merchandise, and also the choosing Incoterm, which will be FOB, that is the amount that the exporter will receive will be up to FOB price. Next, please. Okay, after the application form has already been applied, the issuing bank or the importer's bank, which is Scotiabank in this case, will send a confirming bank or exporter's bank the SWIFT message to notify it of the terms and requirements of the letter of credit. An example of it is the SWIFT 700 that warns about the letter of credit. Next, please. Okay, the documents that are mainly required from the exporter in the letter of credit in order for the bank to make the payment for the merchandise are normally the commercial invoice, transport document, insurance, origin certificate, packing list, and inspection certificate, and also the CAA deal. Likewise, the exporter must be very careful to have all the documents and that they contain information that is in a letter of credit so that the exporter can receive the payment without problems. Next, please. Okay, at the time of making the loan in Scotiabank, it is important to mention that originally the amount request was $39,876, but this amount to $42,252.60 because it contains the amount of the request credit and the credit life insurance, which is capitalizable. Well, in that sense, knowing that the loan will be paid in a year in monthly installments of $3,864.11, we see how just after month 12, all the debt is paid in full. Next, please. Likewise, for our own loan, only the actual number of the loan was taken into consideration. Since there is no bank, there are no other or capitals of the costs. Likewise, it will be paid at the end of 1 year with monthly installments of $3,646.77, and we see that also at the end of year 12, the loan is paid in full. Next, please. Well, now to know if the company is able to pay the loan, in the first place, the projected demand for GPS collars in Lima, Peru was taken as a reference, and we see that in 2021, the demand is 6,681 units. However, we have a maximum quantity of 2,000 units, as it is what we have imported. Making calculations, we see that the 2,000 units will be completed in 4 months, since the monthly demand comes to be approximately 558 units. Having a price of $33 per unit, a monthly growth of 0.087%, and that our profit margin is 65%, we see that at the end of the 4 months, the total value that will be obtained is $66,008.11, with 65% being a total from $42,905.26. In that sense, when finishing selling the 2,000 units in the 4th month, the company can pay the entire debt with profit margins. However, since the payments are in monthly installments, it is expected to continue importing more collars with the profits that remain from paying only the monthly installments or shares.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the 5 C's of first of all is a character. We request in the past some loans to other entities, and our credit history has no debts in international transaction too that we are made, and the profit margin and the sales projection obtained ensures that the loan will be paid on time. As second, we have a conditions that the annual rate of the bank is 19%, so the monthly rate is 1.46%. The total amount requested will be $42,252. In the case of collateral, well, we decided to put as a guarantee one car of ours. Then we have the capacity that, according to the estimate sales and a really good margin annual, we can conclude that the loan can be repaid. Number 5 is capital. Well, the money invested will be 39,876. That is the total amount needed, but to import and nationalize the products. But the loan requested, according to the politics of Scotiabank, will be $42,252.6. Next, please. Okay. With the question, can I use or can we use a line of credit? We consider that no, because if we use a line of credit instead of a loan, we are going to incur in more expenses like non-provision expenses. Well, a line of credit, the financial institution provides the client the decision to use it in its entirely or not. But in this way, the client pays certain commissions depending on the amounts used. It will be in theory, but in reality, it's different because most of the bank also apply a series of expenses for non-provision, and this means having to pay also for what has not been needed, that is going to be an extra expenses. Then the formalization expenses, credit lines usually requires their formalization before a public notary, and this is undoubtedly an extra expense. Then we have the opening commission. Well, these expenses exist since it's a means of financing for the company. Usually a percentage is applied on the total limits available. And finally, we have the interest on what is arranged or an exceed. In the case of the interest that is applied on the provisions, this is usually an average of the balance used. Interest exceed occurs when the client's liquidity needs exceed the limit set in the policy, and it is usually higher than the interest draw since it is equivalent to the delay expenses. For that reasons, we are not able to open a line of credit because it will be more expensive than to open a loan or to request a loan. Next, please.
Well, number 9 is, should I use joint venture? We don't think that joint venture is a good idea. Why? Usually you're partnered with another company to get the benefits, such as minimizing risk, market knowledge, improvising return, among other things. But however, in this case, the investment is not too high or very risky, so we choose not to do this joint venture. And in the case of the delivery, that is the thing that it's like a trouble or problem, we will use the leasing method. Next, please. Here, number 10 is, should I use leasing? We will use leasing, as I said before, also for the delivery and for a small place to store the product. As it gives us the advantage of not having to pay the initial fee. In addition, we can grow as a company and increase the capacity to store our products without getting into any debt or without the need to use any economic resource. Next, please. Number 11 is, should I use scroll? Well, we think that yes, we will use this method. Why? Because it guarantees more security in business and commercial relations, and it is used in many operations, and this reduces risk to zero because there is a third part that do not make the payment if the good is not delivered or delivered in good conditions. So in this case, we are the importers of the GPS, and it will be very useful because the product had to be delivered in good conditions, so the payment will be done. But if anything happens, we will not don't lose the capital, the money that we invest. Number 12 is there any arbitrage opportunity? In this case, it exists because in China's market, the price of the GPS collar is very low comparing to the local market. So there we are going to take advantage of an arbitrage. And also this shows us that the inefficiency of in our market that permits us to import this product that take advantage of the price.
Besides the previous financial instruments, are there other instruments coming in for the project? Yes, there are. For example, we can see here two. One is the factoring. The factoring is a way of business to fund cash flow by selling their invoice to a party, a factor or factoring company at a discount. Invoice factoring can be provided by independent finance providers or by banks. This financial instrument is very useful because we can make that other financial providers like companies or independent people pay for our invoice or our debts, so we can save cash and use the cash that other people take from us to make our business big and also sell and increase our selling more quicker. And for the other side, we can also use the financial instrument that is called a business angel. A business angel is an independent individual who provides capital for the development of a business. In other words, a business angel is an investor that invests in our company and generally wants to be part of it or wants a profit after a time. So in this case, we can take a business angel that borrows also money or invest in our company to increase our sellings, and in the future we have to give them some money or make them part of a company in our way, like being part of being owner of actions or something like that. Next, please. Is the project sustainable? If not, how could it change to be sustainable? Yes, the project is sustainable because it doesn't use so many materials, and most of them are sustainable because they don't overflow our natural resources. Our product doesn't use so many materials like oil or minerals or wood or something like that explodes the nature. So it is in some way sustainable. Anyways, this isn't a huge market yet, so it is not necessary to make that many colors in the company, and the company can focus in making their products more sustainable. As the market is still not that big, the company can focus in make the materials of the products and the product itself more sustainable. For example, using recyclable materials, or maybe the people that don't need anymore their colors can return it, and the company can use the parts for make another color and sell it. So there is space to make this project more sustainable, but it is also sustainable at the moment. Next, please. What extra considerations could I take considering the current situation? We must pay more attention to the health security measures that are necessary to carry out the logistic process of importation. As we know, we are now in a pandemic, so we have to take care of that and try not to promote the contagious of the disease. Another thing, we have to take into account the different issues of the COVID-19 and try to protect the health of the workers, the participants, or clients. This is very important because we don't want anyone to get the COVID. And finally, we also have to make sure that the prices aren't so high because people doesn't have much money in this moment. As we know, now we are also in an economic crisis, so most of the people doesn't have the money that they have before the pandemic. So if we put a much higher prices, so many people wouldn't be able to pay for it. Next, please.
Okay, so now we are going to look to the conclusions and recommendations that the group has made. So as a first conclusion, we can say that the animal market is taking great relevance in the expenses of the people, since there is a feeling of love and care towards the animals, and they base their care and protection expenses for them on the same animalistic tendency. And this product perfectly satisfies the consumer's need for care and protection of their animals. As second conclusion, this project can use different financial instruments like leasing or escrow to finance it, and also we recommend to take into consideration the factoring and the option of a business angel. As a third conclusion, it's important to note the profit before starting an import. According to the profit estimate that we have made, is going to be a good business here in Peru, because there are other products as same as it that are expensive here. So as a recommendation, would be better to do a marketing plan to assure the sales of this imported product. As fourth conclusion is that in this type of business there exist risks in the transaction exporting and importing. So as a recommendation, we suggest to use a Scrum method of payment, so the risk of losing our capital is low. And last, the company is eligible to have the loan, since by using the 400 units, it will manage to cover the total loan obtained. However, is most of the profit margin would go into the loan, so it's not advisable to pay the loan at the end of the 4 months, since in itself the payment of the loan will be monthly by specific installments. It's recommended to continue importing larger units of necklace for the rest of the year, since the company is able to pay the loan even the first month of sales of the 400 units. This one is the references. Thank you very much.